And with us now to talk about the campus turmoil is David Katz, former assistant U.S. attorney. David, you are certainly no stranger here to KCAL. We've had you on many times in the past with big cases. But let's talk about this one. We just heard from President Biden talking about peaceful and violent protests. So I want to ask you a question. When does a protest go from being peaceful to violent?
Well, you know, sometimes you can protest and it's more than speech. Sometimes there's symbolic speech. And this was like in the old days, maybe burning your draft card was a way of showing your opposition to the war in Vietnam. Or there were other things. Maybe sleeping overnight is a way to express your concern about this plight of the homeless. But at some point it becomes conduct. It becomes more than speech. It becomes more than what's protected by the First Amendment. And when it moves into conduct, when it moves into hurting other people or jeopardizing other people, then it can be curtailed by authorities.
And you know, we were just listening to what some of the universities have said that you know, well, the police chief saying it wasn't their call to go in. They have to be asked by the universities, and they told them to stand down. What are guidelines for protests? Are there specific guidelines, Dave?
It's somewhat different if you're a public university, as UCLA is, or you're a private university like USC. But the reality is that both of them really allowed these encampments to take place. So to the extent that there's reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions on speech, on demonstrations, both of these universities allowed them. But at some point, they both decided they didn't want to permit them anymore. And at that point, when you're ordered to disperse, when you're told you don't have permission anymore, when you're given a warning and then you're given another warning, at least under the law, under policy it's different, but under the law, you really have to disperse at that point. Now, whether the police detain or arrest somebody lawfully, whether they use excessive force, all that kind of thing, that's another question. But you really have to disperse. And as you see at UCLA, more than 300 of the people in the encampment did decide to leave, and about 200 decided to stay and be arrested.
And the difference, too, with UCLA, and it's a public university, but it's also huge. Just about anybody can get on that campus, where at USC is much different. In terms of the restrictions, now you talked about, you know, free speech, but when it comes to, let's say, even defiling a building, campus property, stopping other students from going to class, is that also under restrictive guideline?
That is under restrictive guidelines, and of course there should be, you know, instructions in place that if they are going to have one of these encampments in furtherance of free speech, and of course it's a great cause. Everyone is horrified. I hope everyone's horrified by what's happening in Gaza, the situation in Israel. This is something absolutely worth speaking about and demonstrating about, as was the war in Vietnam. But if you're disrupting other students or you're making them feel uncomfortable, that's another thing. And some of the slogans that were spewed out, not by the many, but by the few, were hate speech. So
that now hate speech, that also falls under something that is prohibited.
Well, if it's hate speech, it's like an incitation, an incitement to somebody. You can't incite. You know, there was a famous incident where somebody put a noose around the neck of a statue on the university campus of James Meredith, who desegregated those schools. You can't put a noose around his neck and then start taunting black students. That's obviously beyond the bounds of what's proper under free speech. And some of these things, though, like, you know, from the river to the sea, to me, that is not anti-Semitism. Someone has a right, I don't agree with it, but someone has a right to take that political stance. Obviously, it can then go beyond that. And that's where you get some situations where the Jewish students feel uncomfortable. Some of them do.
Yes. Real quick, David, the possibility that they will face charges.
I think that most of them will not want to make a big deal of this, the 200. I think they'll want to go on with their life. I think their cases will go through diversion. They'll ultimately be expunged. But there is an issue, Pat, how much you can really expunge an expungement. If one of them want to be an assistant U.S. attorney like I was, they do a full security check on many government jobs. And I think as a practical matter, they'll have some real explaining to do in the future. And I think that's why 300 of them decided, you know what, I pushed it this far, but the 300 said, I don't need to go be arrested. Because they got arrested, they didn't just get detained. The reports are that they actually got arrested. They're going to have to appear in court.
And you're right. Even if you have an expungement, that's going to show up on your record when you apply for a job such as yours. All right. David Katz, thank you so much for giving us some insight tonight.
My pleasure to be with you.
All right. Well, before this morning's arrests at UCLA, last week nearly 100 pro-Palestinian protesters were arrested when police broke up an encampment at USC. The protest started there after the university's decision to cancel valedictorian Asna Tabasum's speech following a series of social media posts that she made about Israel. USC officials said they canceled the speech because of security concerns. And we are so fortunate to have with us USC law professor Jody Armour. Several students met with USC President Carol Folt in search of a resolution. And Professor Armour, you were there. You were in those discussions. Thanks so much for being here.
Great to be here.
You know, at one point it seemed that things might come to a peaceful resolution. So what happened at that meeting?
Well, the president pointed out that she had to bring in police because the students weren't following the rules. And the students, you know, young people are especially good at sniffing out hypocrisy. They said, well, President Folt, you weren't following the rules when you canceled the valedictorian address for Osna Tabassum, but all the valedictorians before Osna Tabassum were able to directly address at commencement. And so you are not in a position to lecture us about following the rules if you don't follow them yourself. And they felt very strongly that that was connected to her Muslim identity and the fact that she had pro-Palestinian content or might say something pro-Palestinian. And so it didn't really make a lot, we didn't make a lot of progress. We kind of ran into an impasse around that issue.
Well, do you think there will be more talks? Is there a possibility for that opening?
Yeah, I think there is. You know, I think the president really wants to see some progress. The students want to see some progress. The students want to make it clear that just like, say, during the Vietnam War, when I was their age, it was a South African divestment movement.
Correct.
And I was sitting on campus and police were being sent in, and it took a protracted battle. It was 3, 4, 5 years, and we eventually got some results. And, you know, at the time, a lot of times it can look like chaos and students just being disobedient, but history sometimes vindicates you. It vindicated us when it came to South Africa. It vindicated the protesters when it came to Vietnam. I would hope, for example, if we still had slavery and it was 1858, that students would pitch tents.
Protests. Let me answer this question then. Do you think that what happened at UCLA, because at one point it did get out of control, there was violence, people were being hurt.
Yes.
Is that weigh in at all about with USC and other campuses around the country? You know, I know you said talks are still going on. Would that make a difference either way?
Yeah, you were concerned about the heckler's veto there, the idea that a group of bystanders can say, if you let this person speak, we'll make such great disruption that it will be too costly for you and we'll be violent even, because there was a lot of violence involved in those counter-protests. And that's kind of why, the reason they call that a heckler's veto is it requires you now, the school, to veto the speaker. You know, with Osna Tabassum, that was the concern. People were saying, well, we'll come and disrupt commencement if you let her speak. And they said, well, it's unsafe, heckler's veto. So you're concerned about chilling free speech by allowing those kinds of heckler's vetoes. And if the sacred value of a university is free speech, you want to protect and promote that value as much as possible. Give you one quick example. We had Ben Shapiro in 2018 in USC's campus, a lot of concern about safety. Our provost said, it's a sacred value. We beefed up security. We let him speak. 2,000 people had protesters. The next day, we celebrated our ability to vindicate free speech and keep our students safe.
How do you move forward?
Yeah, you move forward by allowing the students to grow, to express themselves, to try to vindicate what we've been teaching them. This is what we've been teaching them in the classroom, to be free thinkers, to be critical thinkers, to oppose injustice, right? And so when they do that, we should be kind of proud of that, right? We should embrace it and say, yes, civil disobedience comes with cost. You may have to pay the price of civil disobedience, but these students, I'll just tell you this very quickly, on SC's campus, there are no cameras. Nobody's doing it for the cameras, for fame, for celebrity. They're making real sacrifices because they really believe that, you know, kind of collective punishment and mass graves and 14,000 dead children in Gaza is an intolerable injustice that they don't want to be complicit in.
You know, we're out of time, but also there's a difference when you've got a campus like UCLA that is so open where just about anybody can come, and there were a lot of outside agitators
Absolutely,
as well.
the counter-protesters.
Yeah, all right. Professor Jody Armour, thank you so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure to have you here.